Hello. In this video, we will talk about the different type of errors that you might have in your program. And some of these type of errors are very common and easy to fix. Some of them are very complicated. So it's very important to understand what type of errors that you have in order to be able to solve these type of errors. So in this video, we will talk about the type of errors that we have. So there's three main type of errors that you may have in your program, and we're going to talk about each one of these type of errors individually with some examples. So the first type is the syntax error, and then we have something called the runtime error, and we have the logic error. As I mentioned before, it's very important to understand what type of error that you are having in order to be able to fix this error. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the syntax error. Syntax error. This is one of the most popular errors that you may have, especially at the beginning of learning any programming language. What does that mean? What is the syntax error? Syntax error happened when you violate a programming language rules on how samples can be combined to create a program. So, and as example, and this is probably going to happen to you a lot at the beginning, you probably will start like you want to put a string, you open the quotation marks, but you forget to close the quotation marks. Or for example, you have parentheses. You open one parenthesis and you forget to close it at the end. This is type of syntax error, and this is very common, and it's easy to fix. It's not very complicated. The more you practice, the better you're going to be at avoiding these type of errors. Usually the programs will run and it will show you like the interpreter will execute. Sometimes it will stop at the line where the error occurred. Okay, let's take a look at this example over here. So I have this example, this code over here. So I'm asking printing out some information. Here's the salary, and then I'm asking the user to input the salary. I'm gonna copy this one and paste it and try to run it and show you how that thing is going to work. Okay, so this is the same example that you have in the slides. Okay, so everything I have over here, I have a print statement, and then I'm printing another number, and I'm printing another statement over here, and then I'm asking the user to input a value, and then this value is going to be an integer, and then I'm printing out this value, and then I'm printing out something different, which is user underscore num. Let's see what Python is going to say about this code. It's going to ask me to enter like a salary. I'm going to say 65,000. And then I get an error over here. And Python is pretty helpful actually. It tells you what type of errors or where did you find the error. The error happened at line 6. Okay, so if you go to line 6 over here, here's the line 6. The error happened over here. What happened over here? It tells you name error. Name between quotation marks user underscore name is not defined. That's true. I'm trying to print out an object that I've never used before. I've never defined it. So this is a type of syntax error. Sometimes you get an error, not in this example, in some other program, like when you get a syntax error, you will see it says that it's at line 6, for example. Not in this example, I'm talking about different cases. And then you will find out this is at line 6, but line 6 looks great. So what happened? Take a look at the line before. Sometimes it's at line 5, for example. So this is another example of syntax error, okay? Let's go ahead and see what other type of errors we have. We have another type of errors called runtime errors. What is the runtime errors? Well, runtime errors, that means your program has no syntax errors. Everything is following the rules of the programming language. The only problem is that there's something wrong in your code. So for example, you divide by 0. This is a runtime error. Or you multiply string by another string. You cannot multiply strings by another string. You can add a string to a string by using the plus sign. You can multiply a string with an integer to repeat it so many times, but you cannot multiply a string with another string. And this type of runtime errors, what goes to the program, we call it crash. So your program is going to crash. Let's take a look at this example over here. Okay, this example over here is saying that enter a user number, like a user number. You want to input a statement, and then you ask the user to input an integer, and the user inputs an integer. You want to convert it to an integer, and then you want to print it. So what happened if you did not enter an integer and you entered a string, for example? Instead of you type in an integer, you typed a word. What's going to happen? It's going to crash. Your program is going to crash because you are doing something that not going to happen, which is like you cannot convert a string to an integer. So this is a run type error. The other problem, or the other error, and this is the dangerous type of errors, we call the logic errors. What is the logic error? Logic error is like your program runs perfectly. Everything looks nice. There's no syntax errors whatsoever. But what happened is that your program has a bug. We call it also a bug. That in the logic, you're not doing it correctly. Take a look at this code over here. Okay, so let's assume this program is going to give each employee an increase 5% in the salary. So you ask, the program is going to ask, input your, like you want to calculate how much is going to be the salary after 5% increase. You ask the user, enter current salary, and then the raised percentage, which is 5%, you put it as a number 5. And then you try to calculate it, the new salary. You try to calculate the new salary. And you then, when your calculation, you said the new salary equal to the current salary plus, between parentheses, current salary times the raise percentage, which makes sense. That's absolutely correct. But you will find out that because of the percentage that you have is 5, you are giving the employee 500% increase, which is not correct. To solve this, be careful with the raise percentage. The raise percentage should not be 5. It should be 0.05. Okay, I will let you practice this exercise by yourself and then try it with 5 and try it with 0.05 and take a look at the outputs. And this is the other type, or that last type of errors, which is the logical error or the logic error. This is very dangerous because the program does not give you any indication if there's something wrong. You cannot find there is an error unless you compare. You start to compare the output with the actual output that you're expecting. And that's it for the errors.